Okay, let's have a quick look at crypto before I head off to the gym. So here is CoinMarketCap, looking at a bunch of cryptos, Bitcoin, ETH, of course, BNB, then Solana. Solana's had a push down because it once was above BNB here. XRP still in this top 10 list. Dogecoin's there. Toncoin has overtaken Cardano. So looking quite interesting in the top 10. Looking quite interesting. What's the top gainers? Let's have a look at the top gainers. Render, Arweave, Akash Networks, a file storage, Arweave and Akash, Thorchain, swapping, Pepe as the top meme, Near, of course, looking strong, and we'll have a look at that. Let's go into the charts. So let's have a look at Bitcoin. Actually, let's start with the total cryptocurrency market cap, because that's everything, right? So let's pay particular attention to this downswoping trend line that I've got that's been acting as resistance from back here in 8th of April. I was able to draw this trend line from the 11th of April. So you can see a hit here, 2, 3, 4, and then the breakout. Okay, well, that's the first hit. So 1, 2, 3, breakout. We're currently trying to retest the top of this downswoping trend line, and we're also got a monthly swing. So hopefully that acts as support, and if anything, we do have extra support as the 50% at 2 trillion. So that looks okay. Let's see how all the other cryptos are doing. So Bitcoin is it's pretty much the same thing as that total, right? And we're breaking out, retesting the local 50%. That's the trend area there, and we've also got the 50% below it, the 56k, which we somewhat hit, just shy hit, but I'm going long here. I did put a leverage trade as a short. I mentioned it yesterday or a couple of days ago, my last video, and we've hit the area, so I'll probably take some profits here. But I've got a long that I'm entering on 50%, the 618, and then get me out around here. So that's my leverage positions, and I think this is a good entry point for a long, right? So let's see how that all plays out. Now let's have a look at some of the altcoins. So let's start with ETH. Over onto ETH, and you can see it's a different story in comparison to Bitcoin. It hasn't necessarily broken out of this trend here. I've been tracking this longer trend, so I haven't been tracking it from the 9th of April like I have with Bitcoin, and that's only because I want to track the larger trend. If you notice, this 11th of March here, it's not a good trend line for me to draw, so I didn't draw it there. So ETH is I'm tracking it slightly different, but I think it's still important. That's still the trend line we wanna focus on, or at least I want to focus on, right? I want to see ETH break out of this trend line, and it doesn't mean it's gonna, like, even though it breaks a trend line and then might retest it, it doesn't mean that it can't go lower. Do you know what I mean? Essentially what this kind of tells us is at least the momentum to the downside is somewhat shifting, right? We're potentially rounding off a little bit. So that's all it tells us, really. But you can see with ETH in this scenario, we haven't broken this sort of trend line here. So it's looking slightly weaker. We're below the 50%. Looked at my last video, you know, I was tracking it from January, that swing all the way to its all-time high and the 50%, and ETH is below it, and that's not a good sign. We are testing this 618 one too many times, in my opinion. 1, 2, 3, and we might come down again for a fourth. The more we knock on it, it's like glass, it's going to break through. It's likely to break through, so we need to keep an eye on that. For some reason, I've got 2,500 to watch, and I believe that's probably because it's a 50% from this swing here, and then we've got that long-term ascending triangle that we were tracking on its way up, that it could potentially, you know, if there's some sort of crazy event that ETH might get to, you know, yeah, but just keep an eye out on that, right? Keep an eye out. So yeah, that's ETH. Let's have a look at the Akash network. I believe we just looked at a crypto at the coin market cap, and this was doing really well, wasn't it? So yeah, it's broken out of its trend line. I don't even need to draw it here, but you can see there's the retest, and it's above its 50%, so it's looking stronger than ETH at the moment. But the day hasn't closed here. Wait for the day to close, and let's see how Akash does. Arweave was doing great, wasn't it? Yeah, well above its 50%. Well above the 50%. That's crazy. Well above the 50% here. Look at it. It's all the way up here. Now, it has got some resistance, so it's not something I would buy. If Bitcoin does take a dump, potentially this might come back down, but this is so strong. I don't even know if this wouldn't be necessarily the crypto that I would short. But hey, do you? AVAX, I've currently got it as blue. I remember my last video, I was putting I was unflagging some of the altcoins that weren't looking that strong at the moment, and then I flagged the ones that were. Blue being quite strong, red being the strongest, right? So AVAX got a blue because it was above its 50% from January, but as you can see, still showing a bit of weakness. All right, I'm going to continue to monitor this strategy as well. So while AVAX has broken out, you haven't necessarily got that retest, and it's well below its 50%, so it's a bit weaker. So pay attention to that monthly swing down here at $31. That's what I'd pay attention to. Let's have a look at BNB. BNB is still strong, well above its 50%, well above its 50% here at $439, well above it. It does have a upswoping trend line here, which we can keep an eye on. Yeah, let's keep an eye on BNB as well. Bonk, Cockinu, Doge. Let's have a look at Doge quickly. What's Doge been doing? Doge, currently below its 50%. Now, this was currently on red the last time I did it, and that was because we was above the 50%. That was our rules, but broken down from its 50%. Okay, its 50% at 14 cents, and the bulls need to see this get back up above there. Needs to see it get back up there above 15 cents, and then hopefully above the monthly swing. But if it doesn't, this isn't looking good. It's looking like it will retest the 618 again down here at 13 cents. It's almost a bit ETHy, isn't it? It's a bit ETHy. Okay, retesting that 618. And if it comes back down and loses that, it'll come back to its monthly swing at 11 cents. That's what I'm looking at anyway. I'll look at 11 cents. Polkadot, FET. Let's have a look at FET. It was looking real strong, wasn't it? Okay, so we're retesting the 618 right now. That wouldn't have been a bad place to put in a long. Also at $1.97 as well, and $1.60. So that might be the way you would layer in your longs, but you should have gotten in at this trend line already. Okay, so that's that. Phantom, let's have a look at Phantom. Phantom got hit with a blue, didn't it? There's April most likely, and if you was to track it down, but it's below its 50%, so it's not looking that good. It's looking in the same sort of way as ETH is looking and AVAX is looking. But yeah, these are the levels to pay attention to on my screen, which is 618 down here, 66 cents, 63 cents, and then if it breaks down out of that, 54. Have a look at 54 cents on Phantom. Injective. Let's have a look at Injective. How's Injective been faring? Okay, below its 50%. It's a blue, so it's below its 50%, but it is close to the 618. This isn't looking good at the moment. This isn't looking that great at the moment. And you can see, like, there's nothing much here, right? There's nothing much here. So that's why it rips straight through. It cuts straight through. Now, where will it get to? Where would it go to? Already hit the bottom of this trend line here. This weekly swing at $20.15. You'll have some tops up here, so I imagine it's going to find some support up here as well. For the meantime, 1874. It has knocked on it already, but just keep an eye on that. You do not want to lose this consolidation area here with Injective. You don't want to lose that. You know, the bottom of that is about $15 or so. You don't want to lose that. You can, like, if I was to use like the fixed range, the date, where are you? Here you are. If I was to grab it from here to there, and let's have a look at the volume profile, like, there's nothing here. Look at the volume, there's nothing here. So that's why it just goes straight through. Okay, it goes straight through. So yeah, Injective, keep an eye out on Injective if you're in there. Let's have a look at Near. I know Near's already doing fine. Look at this thing. This thing is beast, like FET. Like, this is in a really strong zones. It's on a red here, but it's really strong. Now it's currently up at resistance here. It's currently up on resistance, so it's got a lot to contend with, but it wants to break this. With how like weak I've shown you with certain other ones, look at this. It's trying to break out of this monthly swing, even though we're in a downtrend. Okay, now obviously the 10th, like every other altcoin, it got pushed back down, came above its 50%, perfect retest, and like you're trying to attempt to beat this monthly swing here. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, keep an eye on this. Keep your eye on this. Definitely keep your eye on this. If Bitcoin has a dump, I expect it to come back down to retest $5.77 and then a steal at the 618. Again, confluence with this trend line. Like $5, I'd say $5. If you can get near on $5, that will be a bargain. You'd be in for a bargain. Like, get near at $5 if you can. Render, extremely strong, just like, you know, even stronger than near to a certain degree. Retest, like, where's the testing this triangle here. There's a 10th. That's what I was looking at, the 10th. Rejection, got rejected again, 618, bounce out, push past the 50%, attack the next 50%, the resistance here, and then just break through it. Like, super strong. Render's really strong. Solana. Okay, so Solana, not as weak as like ETH or AVAX. It does have a red here, but since yesterday, it broke underneath this 50%. So we need to keep an eye on this. Things like this can give us an insight into what might happen. So whereas near is right up at resistance at its monthly swing, okay, Solana's struggling to get above its 50%. So we need to keep an eye on that. We definitely need to keep an eye on that. The 618 is at $129. It's got quite a bit of support here, though. It does have quite a bit of support here. And if I was to bring this trend line down, okay, for example, if it was to execute this double top pattern and push back down, we could come back down to, you know, one step at a time. As I said, $122, but just keep an eye on where this trend line comes to. I wouldn't want to see it get lower. I don't really want to see it come back into this consolidation area, to be honest with you. I don't really want to see that. That won't be good. But it could be a good idea to pick some up at 618, put in a long down here. That's not a bad bet. One step at a time. And then I've got marked off here $90. I believe this was the major 50%. So, like, this is everything sort of breaking down. $90 would be a great spot to buy Solana. Okay, so keep that on. Sui, what's Sui doing? Where is the? It's this one. This isn't looking as good, is it? This is below its 50%. Again, coming to its 618. Hasn't touched it too many times, but this isn't good. You don't really want it below this 50%. You don't really want coins like this below its 50%. It's still got a bit of consolidation that it had down here. You know, the bottom of this consolidation area is what, 75 cents. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good at the moment. It's not looking good. Where's the trend line? Where's my trend line on this? Can I draw a trend line right from the top? Let's see. I'd probably draw it like that. So I mean, it's getting a retest, but it's just below its 50%, and I don't like the look of this. But it has broken out. So let's monitor it. Let's continue to monitor it. What else do I have on here? VeChain, all some of the others. Theta, Tia. What was Tia doing? Have I not? I haven't given Tia a color. Okay, it's below its 50%. Where's its January top? Where's January? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, there's January. So that's why I didn't label it. Right. Okay. So there's January. There's that low 618. Okay. Is that in January? It came to the 618 before we even know there was a 618. So that's quite fascinating. 50% is here. We're below its 50%, closing below its 50%, and hasn't broken out of its trend line. Could it go? It could break out. Don't get me wrong. Could break out like that. Just at this particular time, this is weak. That's why I haven't labeled it. So yeah, that's a quick update. But then again, you know, what do I know? But stay safe out there on these crypto streets.